Alright, you know what? We're gonna do the long one. We're gonna do The Petting Zoo by Peter de Niverville. You're giving me ideas, Celeste? What do you mean? Ideas for what? You're not stealing my head. My head is not yours. Do not take my head. I will bite you. I have teeth. Look, ah, ah, ah. I have teeth. They're sharp. I can bite them. Bite you with my teeth. Ow. Alright, so, the petting zoo. At first, Johnson thought this was a cruel joke. Speeding down the country road, the sign was only a blur. But it was that one word, slowing down. He swung the Lexus onto the paved shoulder. In the rear view mirror, he could see it clearly. The sign was tacked to a stick that was stuck in the ground just beyond the paved shoulder. Shifting the powerful car into reverse, Johnson jammed the accelerator down. The tires squealed and loose gravel flew as he tore back up the road. Screeching to a halt, Johnson stared at the faded handwriting. Can we share the head between chat? You guys want to share my head? Why? For what? What do you guys want my head for? The sign read, Ellsworth's famous spider petting zoo. 5 miles, next right. Spiders fascinated Johnson. One summer when he was 8, a large golden black spider had taken residence underneath the shingles by the back door. Every morning, Johnson would gather up ants in a jar from a nest. In the scrubby woods behind his house, one by one, he would drop the wiggling insects into the web. With lightning speed, the spider would spring from her hiding place and race towards the victim, sinking her fangs into the air. Oh yeah, that got me. You got me good. You got me good. Thank you for the bits. Thank you. With lightning speed, the spider would spring from her hiding place and race towards the victim. Sinking her fangs into the ant, she would retreat, waiting for the poison to take effect. I'm not one to nitpick, right? I'm not one to nitpick, but spiders' bites, they're venomous, not poisonous. There's a difference. Poison is swallowed, venom is injected. When the ant slowly stopped struggling, she would climb back down and delicately wrap her prey in a white shroud. This continued until one day his mother caught him. What a cruel little boy you are, she scolded between clenched teeth as she pummeled his backside. Oh. He could still feel the shame of being spanked. Years later, in a rare moment of remorse, Johnson wondered what it was like for that ant, trapped, helpless, waiting for the spider to return. Did they know fear or horror? Or is that something only humans experience? The insect brain was too small, he told himself, or so he hoped. 5 miles, thought Johnson. This side trip might add only another half hour or so to his journey. He would still have time once he got to his motel to have a shower. The dinner meeting with a buyer from the supermarket chain wasn't until 6 o'clock, and it was only 4 now. Oh my gosh, raid! Hi, Toby! Toby, welcome to the raid! Hold on, let me pause my spooky music. Toby, welcome to the raid! Welcome, raidiers! My name is Celeste Oishin. Today we are being cozy and reading spooky stories. Late night spooky stories with Celeste Oishin. It's nice to meet you guys, Hope you guys are all doing well today. By the way, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Spiders are cool. I chose this story just because it was about spiders, you know. Posting forward, Johnson scanned the road ahead. Scanned the road looking for the turnoff. About 100 yards ahead, he saw a lane that intersected with the highway. Flickering on his turn signal, he shot a quick glance at his watch. If I don't find it in 15 minutes, he promised himself, I'll turn back. Accelerating smoothly, he turned onto a well-paved secondary road, with deep ditches on either side. Punching the buttons on the CD player, he stretched his arms, settling back into the soft leather seat. As the throbbing beat of Queen filled the Lexus, his mood lightened. An unexpected adventure in an otherwise boring day. Johnson hated his job. Endless meetings with bad food and balding buyers, too many drinks and too many hangovers. He was packing on the pounds, too. I have to get back to the gym, he reminded himself. The only redeeming feature of his job was that he was good at it. Top sales rep for the last 3 years. I should have been an actor, he told himself. Instead, I'm selling toilet paper and tampons to these turkeys. As the needle on the speedometer crept higher and higher, the neatly kept fields and freshly painted houses became a blur. Mile after mile slipped by. Johnson felt that he and his car had become one, soaring along like a hawk on the summer breeze. But his mood soon soured. The condition of the road deteriorated. Asphalt gave way to chip seal, which gave way to gravel, and finally ended up as dirt. Johnson jumped on the brakes when a huge pothole emerged in the center of the road. Cursing the delay, he checked his watch again. It was almost 5. The long drive down the country road had dulled his sense of time. I better turn around, he cautioned himself. As he studied the road ahead looking for a safe place to make a U-turn, he saw it. An old farmhouse set back from the road. If it hadn't been for the pothole, he would have missed it completely. By the mailbox, a freshly painted sign read, Ellsworth's famous spider petting zoo, open year-round. All visitors welcome. And of course, Toby, how did your stream go? I hope your stream went good. I hope your stream went heckin' very nice tonight, Toby. This must be the place, he concluded, carefully turning up the heavily rotted lane. Johnson wondered what he would find. Perhaps one of the locals playing a joke on the tourists he mused. Tall grass slapped at the bottom of his car, and rusted barbed wire clung to the rotted post that ran along the lane. In the untilled fields, scrubby bushes had sprung up like mushrooms. Johnson tried to imagine what the farm looked like in better days, but it was impossible. When he reached the top of the hill, the farmhouse looked even more decrepit. Blistered paint hung from the wooden shingles, and there was a disturbing sag in the middle of the roof. What had once been the side garden was now occupied by tall thistles and a mass of tangled timbers indicated the former site of the main barn. Except for the glass still being intact in the windows, the house looked abandoned. Where is everybody? Thought Johnson. In response to his question, an old woman dressed in a black skirt and woolen sweater stepped outside the side door. She was gnarled and withered like the lone apple tree that stood in the yard. Johnson guessed she must have been at least 70, maybe even 80 years old. What do you want? She spat. Turning off the CD player and rolling down the car window, he replied, Is this the petting zoo? That's what the sign says, don't it? Ignoring her rudeness, Johnson continued, Are you open? I'll get Jake. He's out back chopping wood. He watched as she shuffled down the dirt path and disappeared behind the corner of a house. Charming, thought Johnson. Opening the car door, he stepped out. Despite the poverty, the farm had a certain rustic appeal which reminded him of the house that he grew up in the country. But there was something odd, something missing. Where are the flies? Thought Johnson. On most farms, the low buzz of black swarms was constant. But here there was none. Except for the moaning of the wind, it was quiet. Perhaps it was the lack of animals, he thought. Or maybe it was the stiff breeze at the top of the hill that kept them at bay. Glancing at his watch, he frowned. It was after 5 o'clock. If he did not get back on the road soon, he'd be late for his appointment. Either that or skip his shower. After driving all day, Johnson did not want to skip the soothing ritual. Taking one last look around, he reached for the handle of the car door. Just then the old woman reappeared, and behind her an even more wizened-up old man wearing faded blue overalls and a nicotine-stained undershirt. Stopping at the corner of the house, the old man spat a long jet of chewing tobacco on the ground. Wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he paused momentarily to study Johnson. Speaking to the old woman, he said in a low tone, Thought I heard a car come up. Wants to see your spiders, she said before she turned away and went back into the farmhouse, letting the screen door slam behind her. You want to see my spiders, young fella? Sure, if you're open. How much? Looking over the Lexus, he scratched his ruddy face and said, $50. 50? That's ridiculous. Shrugging his shoulder, the old man said, Take it or leave it. I got work to do. Then he spat out another long jet of chewing tobacco and turned to go. I can't leave now after coming after all this way, I thought. Johnson, taking another quick glance of his watch, said irritably, All right, but this better be good. The old man smirked and licked his lips as Johnson whipped out a crisp $50 bill from his wallet. Johnson did not like the old man's greedy look and hastily shoved his wallet back in his pants pocket. Thanks, said the old man sarcastically, snatching the bill from Johnson's hand. Looking it over carefully, he folded it up neatly, stuck it in his pocket, and said, "Follow me." The old man led Johnson down an overgrown path to the shed at the back of a farmhouse. Inside, the dim glow of fluorescent tubes highlighted the dozen plywood shelves that ran along the walls. In contrast to the rest of the farm, the shed was neat, almost antiseptic in appearance. Sitting on one shelf was a glass terrarium filled with twigs and rocks. In the case close to Johnson, a small garden spider was spinning a web in the corner. That's an orb weaver, said the old man. I know, said Johnson, annoyed by the interruption. You know spiders? A bit, replied Johnson. I used to study them when I was a kid. I bet you're the type that like to feed them, eh? Catch bugs, drop them in, see what happens? Fun, ain't it? Suddenly Johnson was uncomfortable. How did he guess my secret, he wondered. Johnson felt the warm rush of blood to his neck and ears as he started to blush. No need to be ashamed, young fella. All kids do it. It's natural. Trying to change the topic, Johnson asked. You been at this long? Keeping spiders? Yeah, I've been at it a while. Most folks are scared of spiders. Not me. Me and spiders get along real good. This old man sounds like me. I have tarantulas. They're really cute. I have pet tarantulas. I love them. They're very adorable little friendos. Johnson turned back to watch a large black spider in another case sucking up the half-digested slurry of its latest victim. Trying to be polite, Johnson asked, Bet you don't get many visitors here being so far from the highway. Don't eat 'em, said the old man. This is just a sideline, pausing for the effect, he added. I breed 'em. Johnson looked puzzled. For the college, explained the old man. They use them for research. He does indeed, he gets the spiders, he makes more spiders, you buy a spider, you make more spiders, you buy a spider, you make more spiders, It's the cycle of life. Does it pay well? Good enough. They don't know squat about spiders, said the old man, spitting on the floor. Johnson looked down and saw a streak of the sticky black tobacco had splashed on his shoes. I've been doing research of my own, said the old man. Spiders are just like any other critter. Cows, horses, dogs are all the same. Breed the best of the best and you get the best. Or the old man's voice trailed off as he started to laugh. There was something about his tone that made Johnson uneasy. You want to see my prize winner? Johnson looked around. Oh, she ain't here. I keep her in the barn. She makes these critters nervous. I can't say I blames them. You want to see her? The way the old man said it, the question sounded like more of a challenge. Johnson hesitated. He wanted to say no, but he could not let the old man see he was afraid. Sure, said Johnson. What could it be, he asked himself. A tarantula? With the old man in front, they went down a lesser-used path to the small barn beyond a stand of trees that made it invisible from the farmhouse. A shiny new lock on a rusted hasp yielded to the old man's key. I don't like kids messing around with my stuff, he said. The ancient wooden door swung open. Inside it was pitch black. Johnson hesitated. What was it about it that made him apprehensive? His mouth felt dry and he tried to swallow. Go on in, taunted the old man as he shoved Johnson through the door. Stumbling on the raised hill, Johnson fell to one knee, ripping his pants. Damn it, he cursed. There's a light switch ahead of you, the old man reassured him. Just pull the string. The stench of moldy hay made Johnson gag. Where is it? The spider. She's in the back. You can't miss her. Where's the light? Right in front of you. Can't you see it? Mocked the old man. Johnson stretched out his hand. At first he could not feel anything. Then slowly groping the air in, he caught hold of it. Johnson's heart leapt in relief, but there was something strange. The line didn't feel like a string. It felt sticky like a... Pulling the line, Johnson knew he made a mistake. Something rustled in the rafters above him and bits of straw floated down. Johnson bolted for the opening. Enjoy yourself, cackled the old man as he slammed the door shut and locked it. Let me out, shouted Johnson, pounding on the door. Let me out, you old buzzard. But it was no use. The dried old wooden door was like iron. Pausing to catch his breath, his fists throbbing, Johnson looked around. Slowly, his eyes grew accustomed to the dark. What appeared to be a black chasm was, in fact, the side entrance to the barn. There must be another way out, he thought, but where? In the gloom, he thought that he could see beyond the entryway was a large open space. And beyond that was a boarded-up window in which the thin shafts of sunlight streamed. Great, all I have to do is cross the barn, pull off one of the two of those boards, and climb out, thought Johnson. Then I'll show that man $50. He'll wish I never stopped. Old buzzard, I know, it's a cute insult, isn't it? Then he heard another rustle overhead and saw straw floated down. Who is it? Who's there? He called out. I bet it's that old man, thought Johnson. He thinks he's trying to scare me. Sure, you just keep that up, old man, Johnson called out again. Let's see how much laughing you do when I bash your face in. But first, I've got to get to that window. Be careful, he cautioned himself. The barn must be full of junk. Don't want to fall down and get hurt. Despite the heat of the barn, he shivered, licking the sweat off his upper lip. Johnson slowly picked his way across the wide wooden planked barn floor, being careful not to trip. Shadows of old machinery and tools loomed around him. A leather harness that hung from the wall looked like a hangman's noose. There was a peculiar smell, too. It reminded him of a package of chicken that he left in the trunk of his car on a hot summer day. It was sickly, sweet scent of rotting meat. Oh, gross, muttered Johnson. There's a dead animal in here. In less than a minute, he had crossed the barn and was standing in front of the boarded-up window. Blocking his exit were 3 boards nailed haphazardly into the frame. Either the old man was too weak or too lazy to drive them all the way in, concluded Johnson. I can probably pull them off with my bare hands, he smiled triumphantly. The first board was half-rotted and fell apart in his hands. Light streamed in as it came away from the frame. Then he shifted his attention to the second one, the board in the middle. If he could get this one off, he could probably easily climb out. But this board wouldn't be so easy. It was like the old door of the barn dried out and as tough as steel. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. Let's see. Gripping the board with both hands, he began pulling. The nails squealed in protest and the board started to move. Only a little bit further, grunted Johnson. The thought of throttling the old man excited him. Just a little bit further, another half-inch. He could feel his fingers closing in around the old man's scrawny neck. The eyes bulging, the tongue sticking out. Another half-inch. Is this guy gonna murder this person, this old man, just for, like, pulling a prank on him? Then it stopped. Desperately, Johnson yanked at the board, but it was no use. It would not yield. I need more leverage, he said to himself. Balancing on one foot, he braced his other against the window and started pulling again. The muscles in his forearms and back bulged as he strained against the board. Sweat rolled down his forehead and into his eyes. Come on, he pleaded with the wood. Come on. In his frustration, Johnson did not hear the soft tap, tap, tap on the floor behind him. Tap, tap, tap. Like a blind man with his cane. Tap, tap, tap. Then it was too late. It struck. The force of the attack rammed him face first against the wall, knocking the wind out of him. Warm blood trickled from his nose and ran down his cheek. What was that? Turning around, he could see, in the light from the window, his attacker. It crouched inside an empty stall along the opposite wall, the legs tensed, ready to spring. It was a spider. No doubt one of the old man's experiments. But this was no ordinary spider. It was huge, about the size of a pit bull, with legs that extended down 3 or 4 feet on either side. Its eyes stared coldly at him. Johnson did a quick tally of his injuries. Except for his bloody nose, he was unharmed. Perhaps the large size of the creature made it difficult for it to mount an attack, he conjectured. Possibly did not even recognize him as prey. Spiders normally eat moths and insects, he reminded himself, not human beings. When he was a kid, Johnson liked to throw twigs into a web just to see the spider's reaction. Invariably, after pouncing on the object, the spider would pluck it out of the web, turn it over, and drop it on the ground. Johnson hoped the spider would show the same lack of interest. From its vantage point at the other end of the barn, the creature seemed puzzled. Unsure of itself. Spiders are cautious, he told himself. It's waiting for me to make the next move. Although every fiber in his body screamed, run. His brain told him to stay still. The spider was too big and too fast to outrun. I need a weapon, he told himself. Quickly looking about, he saw the rotten board from the window lying at his feet. It's about 2 feet long with a jagged point at the end. It'll have to do, he spent. He bent down to pick it up. The spider crouched low like a sprinter, ready to strike again. Johnson froze, his fingers only inches from the board. Easy, girl, he whispered softly. Easy. The spider relaxed, but not completely. Deliberately, it began to move forward. Tap, tap, tap. Johnson was amazed by the creature's grace, like a ballerina tiptoeing from the darkened wings of a theater. It was a marvel of beauty and design, the body completely covered by gray hair. had a look of velvet, while the 8 legs had extended from the thorax provided speed and balance. As it approached Johnson, the spider carefully extended one foreleg towards him. Johnson quickly knocked it away with his hand. The creature stopped and cocked its plate-sized head to one side. The 8 eyes looked like black fists. Then the leg came forward again. At the tip, Johnson could see the spike-like claw for catching prey. It touched his left shoulder. Through his jacket, he could feel the sharp point digging into his skin. Johnson winced and stepped backwards into the wall, but there was no place to go. Slowly, the other foreleg came forward, trying to ward off the attack with his free arm, but the creature was too strong. It brushed his arm aside as if it was a piece of lint, and placed its second claw onto his shoulder. Johnson cried out, "Help! Help!" Then the spider reared up on its hind legs, forcing Johnson to his knees. For a brief moment, he and the creature looked into each other's eyes. It was almost like love. Almost like love. You feel what? Oh. Then he saw the 6-inch fangs that extended from the head. Drops of venom gleamed in the half-light. He watched in fascination as the cruel daggers arched high over him. Then he screamed as they plunged deeply into his chest. Instantly, white-hot pain ripped through his whole body. Then it was gone. The spider had retreated back into a stall. Johnson knew that he only had a minute or two before the poison paralyzed him. "This is it," he said to himself, "my only chance," ignoring his wounds. Johnson turned back to the window, grabbing at the board. He yanked and pulled, but to no avail. The venom was already having its effect. His hands were numb, and his arms felt like lead. Gasping for air, he threw himself at the boards again and again. But it was no use. He was beaten. Great sobs shook his body as he slumped to the floor. "This can't be happening to me," he protested. "It's ridiculous." Looking back at the spider, he could see that it still had not moved. What is she waiting for? Why doesn't she finish me off? He soon had his answer, shimmering like a great overcoat. There was something on the spider's back. It moved and undulated like a small wave flowing back and forth. Then a piece of the wave pulled away and dropped to the floor. It was another spider, only a lot smaller, about the size of a rat. About the size of a rat, Johnson recalled that some spiders carry their young on their backs. Horrified, he realized that he stumbled upon the nursery and it was feeding time. Another dropped to the floor and then another. Soon there was a long line of spiders slowly crawling towards him. Through faded eyesight, he saw that the first one reached his foot. Tentatively, its foreleg probed the air until it found his leg and patted it. It was light and delicate, like the touch of a child. Johnson opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came. The last thing Johnson saw before he lost consciousness was a spider tearing a piece of flesh from the back of his hand. Back at the farmhouse, the old man picked up the whiskey bottle from the kitchen table, poured himself another drink, and plopped down on the ancient lazy boy recliner. "How long it take, Jake?" asked the old woman. "Not long. They ain't ate since Sunday. Get a better sign. Attract more folks." "Nah, the sign's okay. Anyway, we don't need a crowd," said the old man, taking a long, hard swallow. "What are you doing with his car?" she asked, standing at the window, admiring the now ownerless Lexus. "I hear young Dougal needs one for running moonshine. Willing to pay a good price, too," said the old man. "Won't he ask questions?" wondered the old woman, pouring a drink and easing herself onto a dusty couch. "Nah, he won't care," snickered the old man. "I'll talk to him tomorrow. Meanwhile, pass the remote. Let's see what's on Dr. Phil." That's the end of the story, chat. That's the end of The Petting Zoo by... What is his name again? By Peter de Niverville. That was the end of the story, my chatters, my cute chat. I hope you guys liked listening to me describe a man get eaten by a giant spider. I'm scared already? Spiders don't scare me. I have pet spiders. They're cute, you know? Spiders are kind of adorable, you know? I have tarantulas. One of them is named Jellybean, and the other one is named, something stupid. The other one is named, Cheeseball. After, I love Cheeseball. I love Cheeseball. Cheeseball's really cute, you know? Cheeseball and, Cheeseball is really cute. Both of my spiders are very cute, you know? I was okay until I thought about being eaten alive by baby spiders. I mean, at least real baby spiders aren't like, you know, like the size of a rat. Even the biggest spider in the world, the Goliath bird eater, only is like, you know, like about the same size as a rat, you know? The biggest spider in the world's only about the same size as a rat. That's not that big, right, chat? That's not that big. You know, it may be like as big as of a dinner plate, like diagonally across. Like if you measure leg from leg, it may be the same length across as like a big dinner plate that you would like get at like a restaurant. That's not that big, right, chat? That's not that bad. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. The ending of the story though reminded me of a nightmare I had as a kid. So I had a nightmare as a kid that like I went to the bathroom, right? I was like in the bathroom about to take a shower, about to take like a space deer shower, right? I was about to take the space deer shower, right? And all of a sudden, out of the closet that was in the bathroom, right? This giant praying mantis, giant praying mantis, right? Rushes out of the closet, like bum rushes out of the closet, picks me up in his little arms, and I tried to scream and like, ah, but no noise came out, and then he bit my head off, and then the dream ended. And that was the, story of my nightmare as a child about praying mantises. I have nightmares about bugs sometimes, but most of the time I have nightmares about ghosts. I have ghost nightmares a lot, you know? I have ghost nightmares a lot, you know? Ghost nightmares, you know, spooky monster nightmares, alien apocalypse nightmares. Those are my kind of nightmares usually, you know?